have a beautiful thing. Sometimes we have breakfast and it's like this. We have topics and it's incredible, the love. And we want to invite the newcomers so they can feel the love and the joy that they're no different than us, that they have done nothing that makes them excluded from this love, oh man, just the opportunity to be a part of someone's life where you can make a difference, and just let your higher power use you to just love someone. You ain't even got to like them, but you got to love them. You got to love them.
I heard it through the grapevine. Welcome. It's the AA Grapevine half-hour variety hour, featuring the collective voices of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm Don, an alcoholic in Greensboro, North Carolina.
I'm Sam, an alcoholic in Palm Springs, California.
We say Sam.
How you doing, Donnie?
I'm doing well. I had a realization working with a sponsee about step 3 recently.
Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him.
Yes. I struggled with the words, God as we understood him. First, there was the gender part, him, but let's put that aside for now. I thought I had to understand God, but I don't think that's the point. I think Bill's asking, am I willing to turn my will and my life over to God as I now understand him, to whatever conception I currently have of a power greater than myself? It's just I need help. Am I willing to ask for it?
I get you on that, and I got a slightly different take on it because it was really important to me that God, as you understand him, is a part of all of this. Because I didn't know what God was, and I had no ability to define that. Today, I don't even try. But what it meant to me was, as I understand, means that I don't have to have God as you understand him.
Right. Very important. I don't have to have your conception. But some people, and I have my sponsee who's tangled up on, well, this means I have to understand. And I need to explain this. And it's unexplainable, it's bigger than the world. So it's like simple, like say my life is a car. So step 1, I can't drive without crashing the thing. Step 2, clearly there's someone else who can. And step 3, I think I'll let them drive the car.
Oh man. I can't, he can, I'll let him is the shorthand that I've heard for over many, many, many years.
Yes.
And of course, the gender conversation is a really important part of all that now. So I'll let he, she, they, it do it.
Yes. It's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a real big deal, but it's easy to say having done it. I mean, it was a struggle for me and the guy I'm working for. It's hard to let go to something I don't understand.
But it's really kind of cool once you get the experience under your belt that it just kind of works.
It works.
And that's what's led to me that I don't need to understand it.
Yep, I've got the experience now. I know it works. What's up today?
Well, Don, today we talk with Graylin C., who got sober in White Plains, New York, and he beautifully expresses his journey of letting a higher power change his life.
I was charged up after talking with Graylin.
Me too. This is a good one.
Hello, my name is Graylin, and I'm definitely an alcoholic.
That's good.
Where are you from, Graylin?
Where was I raised? I was raised in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm from Peekskill, New York, as of today.
And when did you get sober?
I got sober December 19th, 1995 in White Plains, New York.
What was going on inside of you the last time that you quit drinking and said, I got to go to AA?
You know what? I got a surprise for you guys. It didn't come from me. I was just running. I was running. My life was horrible. People were after me, so I ended up in a homeless shelter. And I was like, wow, this is what I've done with my life. And I'm sitting in this homeless shelter. In 5 minutes, into sitting there, it's like this voice rang out. It's like God himself spoke out, Van leaving for AA in 5 minutes. And that's how my journey started.
Interesting. So in that moment, you had this willingness show up to go and get in that van.
Oh, I just got chills. When that voice rang out, I knew it was my last chance. I knew it was my last shot.
Did you know anything about AA at that time?
No. I've heard of it. No, I mean, I went to places where I was trying to stop because I was forced, I was in trouble, and I'd be in there like clueless. And oh my God, I had no clue that I was an alcoholic or, I thought I had the power to stop and start when I wanted to. Like I had no clue until I hit that bottom.
Yeah, I remember for me, it, for so long, it was a solution. It felt like this is the only thing that makes life tolerable.
Well, yeah, in the beginning, of course, it took away the fear and it was the liquid courage and all that. But in the end, it was like a two-headed snake. The first part of the snake was like, oh, yeah, come on, I'm your friend. I'll give you power. But the other head of the snake was, sucking the life out of me. Ooh, horrible.
Yeah, it's a trap.
Oh, man.
Drinking was a trap. And at the very end, for me, I felt like it was the one thing that was holding me together. And now I'm going to give this up.
Right. Now what? Right. Now, what do I do now? Yes. You're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't. Like the jumping off point they talk about, right?
Yeah, it really does feel like that.
So what was your experience going to AA?
Oh, I got chills. Oh, I have to calm myself down. Okay. I came from a lifestyle of hanging out on the streets and police sirens and gunshots and all that kind of, a lot of noise. So for me, when I came to my first AA meeting, it kind of freaked me out. You know why? Because it was so quiet. Quietness scared me in the beginning. So when I went to my first AA meeting, I was accepted. The people were nice. When they said, come on in, welcome, I was looking behind me like, you're talking to me? Do y'all know who you're talking to? I'm accepted here. The love I received in that meeting, I'll never, ever forget it. And that's what made me want to come back. Yeah.
That's a fantastic statement. I mean, talk about making it attractive.
Did you feel like, okay, I'm being welcome here, but then you find out what AA is, read the steps on the wall? Was there anything that you were like going, I don't want to do this?
No, wait, let me tell you about the welcome part, right? AA gradually got me, because I was going to all different other kind of meetings. But the thing about it, I think I was such a severe case when I came in. People looked at me like, oh my God, we got to help this guy. He's still on fire. We got to. So for me, when I made my second meeting, oh my God, they were like, he's back. Oh my God, like help him, feed him, love him, and that has never stopped.
So you were so welcomed that you're willing to do anything that AA asked you to do?
Anything.
And was there any resistance with any of it at all?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And
listen.
So where was that? Because, new people come into AA and they're going, I'm not doing this.
Well, I didn't say I wasn't doing anything, but like I just came to Alcoholics Anonymous to learn how to not pick up a drink. That's all I wanted. When I came in, like, I know alcohol is killing me and blah, 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 blah. So they said, yeah, okay, keep coming. Got a sponsor 30 days. I didn't know how to ask to get a sponsor. Like for me, getting a sponsor was like asking a man to dance, no offense to nobody, you know what I'm saying? But so at 30 days, the group I was in, they was like, you got to have a sponsor, this and that, you got to have a home group. And I was like feeling the pressure. Then my two running buddies at the time, they went behind my back and they got sponsors. So I'm like, oh, no way. I got to get a sponsor. So I jumped up in the middle of the meeting. I'm like, my name is Graylin. I got 30 days and I need a sponsor. That's how I got my first sponsor. And I've never been sponsorless. Yes. Because I didn't, I didn't have the courage to go up to another individual and say, would you sponsor me? Which is so humbling, It
is. It's humbling. It really is akin to asking somebody out on a date. I mean, that's what it feels like.
Yes. I never looked at it like that. Yes. But back to your question, was there anything that I was resistant about? It was like, okay, so they said, go through the steps, and I got sponsored 1, 2, and 3. I'm going through the steps. Then I was in meetings and I was taught that if you're not on the step, you can't speak on the step, because by the time I got 90 days, I was shouting this from the mountaintops. I was like long-winded. So my sponsors told me, You can't talk if you're not on the step. So it was motivation for me to help, to help me complete the step. But then my sponsor said, okay, write a fourth step. Then the brakes kind of like, I was like, whoa, this is heavy now. Like, I get emotional when I tell this, but I was in so many meetings where I heard people's experience on their fourth step, and I was seeing living examples in front of me, the result of them doing the fourth step, and I wanted that. And the only way to get what they had was to write a thorough moral inventory, not to leave nothing out. They told me, whatever you leave out can cause you to drink. And I didn't want to drink again. So I procrastinated. I was still living in the homeless shelter when I wrote my fourth step. But I was making meetings, and it was obvious that I wasn't drinking and drugging. So they let me go in certain areas of the shelter and write this step.
Still, let me just say, step 4 made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves.
Yes. So, I wanted to get this thing done, right? So I wrote it to the best of my ability. I gave it to my sponsor, and he gave it back to me. And he's like, you're not done. Then I slowed myself down. I took a deep breath, and I had left out like a 10-year relationship. How do you forget 10
How
years?
did he know that?
I don't know exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to guess that's some sponsor foo there, where they just you just say you give it back automatically. You give it back. You left something out.
Is that like kung fu, or what kind of food?
Like kung fu, it's sponsor food.
Yeah.
It's kind of like asking a child, "Is there something you want to tell me?"
Right.
How long did you take writing that fourth step? Did you sit down and start and just do it in one sitting?
Oh, no,
a week or 2 weeks, or
I say probably about 3 weeks, but not in one time.
Yeah.
I was told to write during the day because I wasn't working at the time. I was unemployable. I had my day programs and stuff. So I had certain periods of the day. He told me to write before meeting, not after meeting. Pray before I write. He said, when you write, when that pen gets hot, put it down, close it, don't reread it. He instructed me well.
Oh, that is beautiful. One of the things that I did was I would write on my fourth step before a meeting. Nobody told me to do this, but I knew that this thing was going to dredge up some dark stuff.
Right.
And I needed to go somewhere that was good and healthy for me after working on it.
Yes, exactly. And I didn't know that. I just followed his instructions. I was very obedient. I did whatever. I was beaten. You know what I'm saying? I was done. Whatever y'all want me to do, if this is the admission to a new way of living, I'm all in. So that's what I did, and I still do it.
Graylin, there are several things about you talking about this fourth step that just like totally got me like jacked up. These are awesome. That you got a sponsor and you did it. That's one thing. But even before starting your fourth step, you saw people in the rooms talking about their fourth steps and having done them and saw these wonderful changes. You didn't say anything about some of the negative stuff that I hear, because I hear people complain, oh, you're on your fourth step, that's going to be tough and things like that. And it's like people made it attractive to you to do it.
You know what they used to, I got so many chills in me right now. You know what they used to do? Because, I was taught, share whatever you're going through, talk about where you are. So I let everyone know, I'm writing my fourth. So every meeting I would go to, everybody would just start waving pens and pencils. They wouldn't even speak. They just say, hi, Graylin. They would wave. It was so inspirational. Oh, my God. Yeah.
Because they knew you were on your fourth step?
Yes.
That
such support and love. Oh, my God.
What a group.
I'm telling you, I got tears
I want to visit
right
this
now.
group.
Yeah, they're still in existence. I say they were living angels, because these were people who really lived this program. The people that helped me, nobody ever pointed their finger at me and told me what I had to do. It was always like, well, go this way.
I want to go through the steps with you. This is incredible. So then you did step 5, which is to share your inventory with your sponsor. And it sounds like he was involved. And this is the case for me. My sponsor was part of my fourth step and my fifth step all at the same time. I mean, I couldn't understand a lot of my fourth step until I talked to my sponsor.
Oh, I want to tell you guys something. When it was time for me to do my fifth, I was so anxious, right? I was like, we went to this diner, and I'm like, we're going in a diner? What? All these people, somebody might hear this. So then he hands it back to me and says, read it. I'm like, are you kidding? So I didn't say that to him, you know. So I'm like speaking like Mickey Mouse. My voice is so high pitched. I'm trying to fly through this thing, right? I'm like, he's like, stop, you know, and like midway through, we kind of like calmed down and stuff. You know, I got calm. He was saying me too. And he started identifying with the behavior and stuff. And, you know, and we got through it. And I was so proud of myself that I went through with it. And I was so grateful to him that he took time, you know, to sponsor me. And he's thinking like he didn't do anything. He's like, because I truly believe now, because I know this, because I've been around for a while, his sponsor was really helping him, you know, to help with this process, you know,
That's
because
the way it works,
I was an extreme case, you know, you know, and they seen I was coming to meetings. They seen I was really drinking the Kool-Aid, as they say, you know, they seen that I was all in. So I guess he didn't want to mess it up. And a funny thing happened, you know, after we kind of went through the fifth step. He was into his music career because they always used to tell us sponsors have lives too. Don't solely depend on your sponsor. I was raised so well in AA. And so what that meant to me was that if your sponsor is not available, you continue with your program. You go to other alcoholics, ask for help and stuff. So my sponsor, right after I did my fifth step, he was into his music career. And I wasn't mad at him. I still loved him. I love him today. So what I did, I got his sponsor. And I didn't even know what I was doing then, but when I got his sponsor already knew about me, you know, or he didn't make me redo the fourth step because he already knew about me. And we continued with the process. And then when he moved away, I got his sponsor who knew about me.
Yeah, one person is not the program. It's easy to depend on a sponsor and think that I can't do it without this person. Kind of makes sponsor a higher power, but it kind of feels like it's natural to do that. AA is bigger than one person.
Well, there's another person, but there's also the trusted friends that we make in these rooms.
Yes,
you know, I've got people who, you know, I'll sit and have coffee with a friend, and it might as well be a sponsor session. You know, I mean, the things that we're talking about, we're not in a sponsor-sponsee relationship, but the conversation that we have is very sponsorial. That's just the nature of the friendships that I have with some of these people in these rooms.
Yes.
Let's go to 6 and 7. So then you completed fifth step. Then you're entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character that you discovered, and then humbly ask him to remove your shortcomings.
I'm going to tell you guys, man, 6 and 7, it's like you might as well have been speaking Chinese to me. Seriously. Like,
I believe.
I'm like,
strange.
My sponsor, I mean, he said you're going to be on these steps for a long time, 6 and 7. He just left me there, you know, and character defects, that, you know, to me, it's like bad things that I do. What I started to realize about 6 and 7 was the things that I was still doing that I knew that weren't cool, that I was ready to give up. It took some time, though. You know what I'm saying?
Lifetime.
Yes. In the beginning, I think when I was like around 90 days, I was still stealing. I was still going in malls and justifying it like, oh, these people got all this money. You know, we're crazy when we first start. Yeah, I go in the grocery store and drink a milkshake and eat grapes and stuff. And one day I realized, I'm like, you know what? That's stealing. You got to stop that. You know, nobody told me that. I just came to that realization. And then my defects is just part of my spirit, things that I was doing that I knew wasn't cool. And the kicker was I was going to meetings, especially like men's meetings, where men would just pull their skin off and get brutally honest. And it gave me the courage to like look deeper within myself and talk about these things, you know, in the open, that I was doing, that I was wrong without justifying it. And it was such a freedom. It was so liberating. I love it. It's the way to a spiritual life that you can't buy.
That is the clearest and most concise statements about 6 and 7 that I have ever heard, looking at myself and the things that I'm still doing that I don't like.
Yeah.
So then we have made a list of all persons we have harmed, step 8, and became willing to make amends to them all in step 9. We make those amends.
Okay, so now, because up until this point, you know, after 6 and 7, I kind of feel like I'm gliding like a hang glider, you know, I'm enjoying sobriety and everything is cool. Then my sponsor said, okay, we're going to do your 8th step. He said, put a list of names. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I can do that. So I put, people that was in my fourth. I made a list. And then he said, now write a sentence what you did to him. Then I'm like, oh, man. So it drudged back up those fourth step feelings. It's like, I love this program and I love how the steps are in order. And when you get a good sponsor who just knows when it's time to move you on. So when he said, write a sentence of what you did to each of these persons, it reminded me of how sick I was. So I wrote a list of people and what I did to them. So it humbled me.
Sam, it's odd. I have no questions whatsoever.
Don, I think I can help you there. Hey, folks, just a reminder that we need you to call 212-870-3418 to record questions for the old timers and also recovery-related jokes. That's 212-870-3418.
I had a spiritual experience. I mean, my obsession was lifted up out of me. I don't know if y'all want to hear that now or later, but I think you need to hear it now. In my 12th day of sobriety, while I'm living in this homeless shelter, they allowed us to have weekend passes. And it's not like I had anywhere to go to, nobody wanted me around. So I called up a friend who I used to go out and drink and do other things with, said, let's get some booze and other things. And he complied. So he said, under one condition. I said, what? He said, we're going to go to church first. So this was New Year's Eve of 1995. So we go to this church down in the Bronx. We were a block away from the candy store, if you know what I mean. But anyway, we go in this church and it's 5 minutes to 12. And I was making so many meetings back then, and I remember the pastor said, he said, this is what I heard. He said, now's the time for you to ask your higher power for something you really want. That's what I heard. And for the first time in my existence, I'm on my knees. My prayer to my higher power, which I choose to call God, was, please take the taste out of my mouth to drink and drug. Soon as that prayer left me, from the top of my head to the soles of my feet, my obsession was gone. And it was such a release where tears just ran down my face. And I never had an urge to drink or drug after that. I only had one notion maybe 2 years after that. I thought of, it'd be nice to get something. But it when the thought came into me, it was like pop-ups of people in the meeting. Just, I seen all these faces of people in the meeting just pop in my head, like, boop, 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 boop. And I never had the urge again. I don't think I would still be here if I didn't have that experience. Yeah.
So your relationship with a higher power is something that really happened to you.
Yes, it's real. Yes.
That's what I did with 8 and 9 is I had to take my higher power with me.
Yes.
How do you deal with the fear of making amends to people for things that I've, some of them people that I need to get in touch with, I'm very ashamed. Some of them have very good reason to be angry at me.
I'm going to tell you something. Where I lived, I was ran out of town. People said they see me tomorrow, I'm a dead man. That's how bad it was. So to go back there, like to deal with that fear, it's like you can't have fear and faith in the same house. So I was sober up until about 9 months. So I'm like, listen, I haven't picked up nothing. I'm taking the faith train. So I went back to that neighborhood. I did my brother first and I did another brother and they were like, oh, cool, fine. There was no big deal to them. So I was like 2 for 2. So I'm on the roll. So I went to my mother and my mother like put her hand up like a stop sign. She said, stop. And she said, you caused a lot of pain. I shrunk to about a half inch inside spiritually, because I'm on this roll. I'm feeling all good. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, stop, and I finished my amends, but it slowed me down. So that took a lot of wind out of my sails. So I went outside on the porch. I'm like, wow, wow, that's a bummer. So I'm on the porch. Guess who's coming up the street? The 2 drug dealers that I owe money to. So my first impulse is to jet back into the house. But something said, we don't run anymore. I stayed on that porch. They said, hey, you got our money? I said, you know what, guys, it's funny you're asking for money because I'm on my 9th step. And all I have is $20. And so I gave them $20. I owed them much more than that. And they said, you lucky your mother's on that porch. It wasn't just my mom on that porch. God was standing right next to her. Yeah, it was awesome. And another amends I did, I had to do a graveside amends. I had a friend and it's painful to talk about, but he was dying of cancer, a childhood friend, and we used to like drink and do things together like that. And he was dying of cancer, and he sent me to the store. I was deep into my progression. This was supposed before sobriety, and he sent me to the store with $100 bill. Why would you give a person like me $100 bill to go buy batteries? But this was a dear friend, and I came back 3 days later with the batteries and $27 change, and I was like the lowest scum of the earth, to our friends and stuff. But carrying around that guilt and shame and stuff, and to be able to write a letter and do a gravesite amends to him. Oh my God, what a program. I had wrote this letter and I went to the gravesite and I read it out loud, and oh my God, yes. And I had to do it with my dad too. My dad passed, and when my dad died, the excuse I made for not going to his funeral was that, oh, me and my father were too close. That was a crock of crap. You know what I'm saying? So when you come in this program and you start to get honest, I had to write another letter, and I went to his gravesite and I wrote the letter. And you're talking about freeing. You're talking about cleaning up your side of the street. Like, you can't buy this. You got to put in some work. But when you put in the work, wow. Oh my God. It's just amazing.
Freedom.
Yes, freedom.
I was going to say, what is your program like today? But I hear it.
Absolutely. Graylin, the passion that you have for what you have today is just attractive as it can be. So I have to ask one question. We're going to jump to the end of the steps. The 12th step, carrying this message.
Wow. Oh my God. Oh, wow. God, woo, okay, let me calm down. God has put some men. I have intimate relationships with men where they trust me, they share their souls with me, and I love these men. I feel they're doing more for me than I'm doing for them. They're just so honest, and they put me on the pedestal, and I give all praise and glory to God and AA. I do not get it twisted. It ain't about me. This ain't my power. It just flows through me. I don't pressure nobody. I'm not into the business of firing sponsors. No way. I don't do that. They fire themselves. You stop calling, you just don't have a sponsor. I have a guy, he doesn't call and stuff, but he's a great guy and he's going through stuff, but he's a good guy. And I'm like, when you don't call your sponsor, you're just being selfish because you might be helping your sponsor. So I love sponsoring. I love it.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to be reaching out to you later about some sponsorship. Okay.
No problem. No problem.
I'm switching sponsors right now.
Graylin, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an absolute joy chatting with you.
Thank
you for having me.
You've been sober for 10 years now. Don't you think it's time you start dating again? Just give it a try.
Well, okay.
All right. So what kind of person attracts you?
Well, she has to be pretty. I mean, must be. And like me, a little wacky. And she has to be strong and assertive. I guess I'm looking for a woman who's stunning, baffling, and powerful.
It's really not that funny. Thanks for joining us. The AA Grapevine Half Hour Variety Hour is posted every Monday and is produced by AA Grapevine, Inc. We don't speak for AA as a whole. We share the experience, strength, and hope of members to help others recover from alcoholism. Podcast info, including how to call in, is at aagrapevine.org/podcast. Find AA Grapevine on Instagram and the AA Grapevine channel on YouTube. All things Grapevine are available at aagrapevine.org. If you want to know more about AA, Google Alcoholics Anonymous and your city or visit aa.org.